Hey fam, what is going on, and welcome back to another Ghost of Tsushima video. So over 1,000 people voted and the majority of you guys wanted to see my toxic assassin build. So here it is. And if you guys have ever seen any of my other build videos, I will put the build right at the beginning so you can take a screenshot. For those of you who don't like a more in-depth video, however, if you do like an in-depth video, this one is for you, and you'll get some new tips and tricks along the way if you do decide to stay and watch the whole video. Guys, if you're not already in the Discord and hanging out and mixing in and playing with other gamers that are in the Discord, I suggest you do so if you are finding trouble actually getting people to play with. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, please be sure to leave a like down below and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. If not, it's all good. We love y'all anyway. Let's get to the build. All right, fam, what is going on, and welcome to my toxic assassin build. So like I promised at the very beginning, I'm going to show the build right here. For anybody that wants to take a screenshot, feel free. This is the gear that I'm using, and these are the techniques that I'm using. All right, guys, for everybody else that is here for a more in-depth video, let's go ahead and get right to it and take a look at the gear that I am using on my toxic assassin build. First things first, guys. Now, you guys have all heard of moon canceling and everything by now for the animation cancels. I do not know how to do that, so I am using the water katana, which honestly I love the most anyways. And my water katana currently has melee damage, which, by the way, if you aren't already aware, melee damage does go towards your ultimate damage, considering the samurai and the assassin's ultimates both are scaled by melee damage and considered melee damage. Next, I have ability cooldown reduction, because I do want to reduce the cooldown of my toxic vanish that you guys will see later, which I am using as my class ability for this build. I'm using poison blade because yes, it does stack with deadly nightshade, which is the technique that I am using also, that you guys will see later, the reasoning why the poison build is so strong, with the assassin getting the buff that they finally deserved, and it's actually incredible. So having poison blade helps that, and it makes it that much stronger, because honestly, poison blade does really proc a lot when you are using your katana, and I've seen it before, it can also proc when you are using your ultimate. So don't sleep on poison blade if you don't already have this. The second perk that I have, guys, is Way of the Flame, because I love using Way of the Flame. It gives you multiple options. Way of the Flame can be used in conjunction with the assassin's ultimate, which honestly is the primary reason that I use Way of the Flame, and it can also be used as an unblockable attack if you're dealing with some annoying Oni and or shieldmen that you can't seem to get past, whether you're trying to parry or dodge them. Using Way of the Flame will cause your katana to do an unblockable attack that is actually kind of incredible, so it's a good option to have, guys. So this is the water katana that I'm using. I don't have everything perfect yet, but I will soon. Next, guys, for my ranged weapon, I am using Forbidden Medicine, and if you have questions on how to get Forbidden Medicine at 120 on the assassin or the samurai, I will link a video down below for the gear mastery system that goes exactly in depth on how to do this if you do have questions, so be sure to watch that video if you're confused. Guys, I am using blast radius and status effect damage. So blast radius is kind of a no-brainer when you are throwing your black powder bombs and or your concussion bombs. The radius on those blasts obviously gets bigger by 25%, but the reason that it's so important is because when you're throwing these bombs, one, you want to do damage, of course, but two, you want to get your resolve up as much as possible. So if the enemies are spawning, or if they're in the circle or traveling in a group, and you drop a couple bombs in there, you're going to get an insane amount of resolve that goes towards your ultimate, so you can use obviously whenever you need it. Another good thing is with Forbidden Medicine, since it does heal allies that are caught in blasts, which is the biggest, most important part of Forbidden Medicine, if you are throwing your bomb to try to heal somebody that's a little bit further away, you have more of a blast radius to kind of work around with, and it gives you a little bit of leeway when you're trying to help your teammates who are maybe poisoned, or they're literally about to die, so you're raining bombs on them to try to heal them while they're in the middle of a fight. So So blast radius is actually really incredible. Next, guys, you see I have status effect damage. So status effect damage is very important to have. The reason I have status effect damage is because Deadly Nightshade, the technique that you will see later, causes all poison damage that you do to not only eat away at the stagger meter, which is what it used to only do, but now it simultaneously eats away at the enemy's health bar. So their stagger meter and their health bar are going down at the same time. This status effect damage causes those ticks to be just that much stronger. Now, the difference between status effect damage and duration is kind of self-explanatory. The duration causes them to go longer. Now, the reason I don't have status effect duration is because I am using this build in order to be as aggressive as possible, and the aggression mainly causes the enemies to die quickly. So having duration is almost unimportant when you want the enemies to die as soon as possible, because you're not sitting around and biding your time and kind of waiting for them to die slowly. You know, once they're to that range, you're going to throw bombs, you're going to assassinate, you're going to vanish, you know, you're going to do all kind of things. And we'll talk about how to play this build just a little bit later after I go over everything. So status effect damage, I think, should be prioritized more than status effect duration. Now, guys, the assassin unlock is obviously needed. And like I said, check out that gear mastery video and you'll see the reason I have that, obviously, so the assassin can use the bomb pack. Next, I'm using black powder bomb. It is a no-brainer. Black powder bomb is the strongest bomb for any bomb pack. It's something that you definitely need because not only does it do extra damage on top of having status effect damage, which also applies to your black powder bombs, it also yields the most resolve gain. The more damage you do, the more resolve you're getting, which is why these black powder bombs are super strong. And the goal is to use these to get the enemy super low, pop your vanish, and then once you pop your vanish, you know, they're pretty much gonna die, and then you just kind of clean up the rest of them and deal with the bigger guys that are left. Black powder bomb is kind of your key starting weapon, and it's kind of a game changer. Now, guys, as you see here, I do have Heaven's Sting. Now, this is an alternate and a secondary weapon that is very good and almost equal to having Forbidden Medicine, depending on how you like to play. You can think of Forbidden Medicine as more of an area of effect, and you know, you're hyper aggressive and you're dealing with multiple enemies at once, whereas Heaven's Sting, you're dealing with more of single target damage, which is really good for story mode, and it's the reason why I have this set, because I use this mainly in story mode. Now, the beautiful thing about Heaven's Sting is the ability, because the darts have a 20% chance to instantly kill non-Oni targets, and that means you're gonna be able to deal with these guys that are freaking huge, those big old shield guys and those annoying guys that have all that armor that look like the generals from the actual story mode. You're gonna be able to deal with them and have a chance to instantly kill them. So this actually procs an insane amount, and it is so useful in these tight situations, especially in story mode, like I'm saying, but also in nightmare survival, because there are a lot of waves that have really big non-Oni targets that, you know, that are kind of annoying, and you can make quick work of those guys from a good distance. So for my Heaven Sting, guys, I do have stealth attack damage on my charm, on my Heaven Sting, and on my smoke bomb. I have stealth attack damage all at 25%, which in total is 75% stealth attack damage, and you can one-shot a lot of targets if you add Heaven Sting into the mix, and it's actually a beautiful thing, and it does so much damage, it's not even funny. Also, in case you guys didn't know, with one of the recent patches, the ultimate for the assassin does slightly scale with stealth attack damage as well. Having as much stealth attack damage as possible is very big, and it helps you even with your ultimate damage. Now, I have status effect damage as well on my Heaven Sting, like I had on my Forbidden Medicine, for the same reasons that I explained. The main reason this is important is because on Heaven Sting, you have a poison dart, and this poison dart, it does apply Deadly Nightshade because it's the same as applying Toxic Vanish, or on your poison blade. The poison dart eats away at the enemy's health and their stagger meter, and not only does it do that, but it also stacks. So the more darts you put on a single target, for example a very big Oni, the more damage you're going to be doing, because the ticks are going to be increasingly stronger. I have status effect damage because obviously you want the damage you know, to hit as hard as possible and take those enemies out as fast as possible. Now, you will see my perks, guys. I have hallucination darts and shield piercing ammo. Hallucination Dart kind of counteracts what I was saying about the enemies dying quickly, but this can take you out of a bind pretty quickly. For example, if you are on the Crow Demons of Otsuna, like I said, I mainly use this for story mode, and you're dealing with multiple Tengu, you can shoot one of these hallucination darts at a further away Tengu and deal with the closer one and not worry about that guy shooting at you because he's going to be fighting his own teammate. If you're not already aware, hallucination darts apply hallucination on the enemies, which causes every enemy around them to attack that specific enemy that you shot the dart with. So essentially they think he's an enemy, so they start fighting him. So they're not fighting you. So hallucination dart I do like to use in story mode, and you know, if you would like to, you can switch hallucination dart out for sharpened ammo or even helmet piercing ammo as well if you are going to be using it in nightmare survival. Now shield piercing ammo, guys, for me was a no-brainer because like I said, this has a 20% chance to instantly kill non-Oni targets, and those big guys with the shields are hands down the most annoying enemies to deal with. So having shield piercing ammo, all you have to do is aim center mass, and if you're using aim assist, it automatically locks onto them, and just light them up with your darts and hope that procs, which it likely will, and then you can move on to the next target. So if they have a shield, it's not a big deal. So that's why the Heaven Sting is another good thing to have next to Forbidden Medicine. So those are your two options right there, guys, and I would highly recommend either one of those, and you can build them just like that or make it your own. Next, guys, I am using the Assassin charm. I do not suggest any other charm for the Assassin unless you're doing like fun builds and stuff like that, but if you're looking to do as much damage as possible for this toxic build, I don't suggest anything else. And the reason for that being is that second property right there, the Toxic Vanish Radius. Now obviously, like I said, I have stealth attack damage on here, and I mean that's a no-brainer, we already spoke about that, but Toxic Vanish Radius, guys, is absolutely insane, and you want to get that as high as possible. Use resources, get that as high as possible, which I will probably be working on later today, because when you hit your Toxic Vanish, which we'll talk about that technique in a second, the radius on the toxic that shoots out as an AoE damage effect is absolutely insane. If you get in the middle of a group of enemies, you can almost guarantee that every single one of them is going to get hit by that toxic, and they're going to be poisoned, and this poison is going to take all their health, and it's going to tick all their stagger meters, so they're going to be very weak around you. And if you have Chain Vanish, as you see is my first perk right here, once you assassinate one target, you're going to be able to go back invisible, and yes, once you go back invisible, the Toxic Vanish procs again, so you will have another toxic cloud that goes out and poisons the enemy multiple times. And like we talked about for the Heaven Sting, it does stack, so the more Toxic Vanishes you get in, the more toxic you get on the enemies, the more it stacks, the more damage you do, the faster they die. And this is so insane, guys. The way the enemies die, even in nightmare survival, is just so incredibly fast. You're almost sad about it because you have nobody to fight. You can even use the technique Chain Vanish, which I will show you guys under the techniques, to get a third vanish in and do just that much more damage. Now for my second perk right here, guys, you will see I have Fire Master. Now Fire Master, the reason I have that and not anything else is simply for that starter opening attack that we talked about with the black powder bombs, because yes, the black powder bombs deal fire damage, and on top of having status effect damage on your Forbidden Medicine, which also deals with status effect damage for fire, not only poison, your Fire Master is going to add an extra 25% damage on top of that, which is going to hit very, very hard and help you deal that much more damage to take the enemies out. So Fire Master right there for sure. You can take that out if you're not so inclined to use Fire Master, or if you're only using Heaven Sting, you can easily put Combat Regeneration or, you know, Hysteria, which will, you know, Hysteria is a fun one, but it makes everything chaotic. For me, I don't like using Hysteria for the simple fact that once you assassinate somebody, everyone hallucinates, right? Like I said, it applies that hallucination on them where everybody starts fighting each other, but the problem with that is it gets chaotic. You want the enemies to be focused on you with this build because you want all the damage to be coming from that toxic, and you know, you want them just to be surrounding you. Whereas if you're using Hysteria or any kind of hallucination, they're going to get scattered, so just be aware of that if you're going to use that. Next, guys, I am using the Magma Bomb. Listen, this could go either way. You can use Magma Bomb, you can use Spirit Kunai, which as you see right here, I have Spirit Kunai set on the Assassin as well. Let's talk about it real quick. The Ghost Weapon damage on your Spirit Kunai does play towards your black powder bombs as well, so having that on there along with status duration, your black powder bombs are going to do some serious damage. damage. Now, if you guys are already aware of the Spirit Kunai, it reduces the cooldown of all your cooldowns, not just your class ability, not just your Wave of the Flame, not just your ghost weapons. It reduces every single cooldown by 10 seconds per kill. So if you're starting the wave, you hit them with a couple black powder bombs, get them low, you toxic vanish, you assassinate, they're all almost dead, throw Spirit Kunai, and you're going to get a lot of your cooldowns back, or you're going to get them very, very close to coming back. So Spirit Kunai can be very useful if you use it properly. Make sure you are always trying to get more than one kill with your kunai, no matter what. If you are going to be throwing it, make sure you are getting more than one kill. It is on a 30-second cooldown. Okay, so you get 2 kills, that's going to come back almost immediately. So be sure you are aware of that. Now, super massive and hidden blades are 2 things that I always use on my Spirit Kunais because they are actually insane. For one, super massive deals extra damage and causes the lighter enemies to get thrown back and to get pushed away from you, which is incredible. But hidden blades is the key because it throws 5 kunai at once. Not only is there a chance to get 5 kills if you're super lucky and skillful, but if you are close to an enemy that is like a bigger enemy like a Oni, for example, you can shotgun very close all 5 kunai right into their midsection and deal some incredibly insane damage. So Spirit Kunai as your ghost weapon 1 slot is a very viable option. It just depends on your style of gameplay, guys. So the cool thing about Magma Bomb is when it explodes, it causes a smoke cloud to come out of it, just like as if you were using a smoke bomb, and you can get assassinations from that smoke cloud. You can get maybe 1, 2, or 3 off depending on how quick you are, and it loses the enemy, so they are no longer targeting you when you're in that smoke, which is very useful in some sticky situations. No pun intended, because it is a sticky bomb. Wow. Now, I have cooldown reduction on kill and status effect duration. So the reason that I have status effect duration on this is because you can't put status effect damage. So if you wanted the best of both worlds, if you are using a sticky bomb, you can have status effect duration, which applies to the fire that comes from the black powder bomb, and it applies to the poison that you use when you toxic vanish, or even when you are using your Heaven Sting poison darts. That is very important that you will have duration and damage, which, you know, makes you very well rounded. Now I am using Fired Up on the Magma Bomb as well, and Lucky. These are the 2 that I choose to use. If you don't like it, you can use Increased Radius, which is actually just as incredible. If you aren't already aware, Increased Radius increases the radius of your ghost weapons. And if you aren't already aware, also, your black powder bomb is considered a ghost weapon. So if you have increased radius on this, your black powder bomb's radius will be increased by another 50% on top of the already 25% that blast radius property gives it on the actual forbidden medicine itself. There's some serious synergy here, guys, that I don't think a lot of you understand, and it's very important, and I think you guys will really like it. So Fired Up or blast radius. Now guys, Lucky procs a lot. Don't sleep on Lucky as a property because it actually procs a lot. Just last night when I was playing, I got like 4 sticky bombs in a row. Lastly, guys, I have the smoke bomb, which is an absolute must for me. You guys don't have to, but the reason it's an absolute must is because I have stealth attack damage, which, like I said, scales for the ultimate as well as getting assassination. So stealth attack damage is so versatile with the assassin, and it's super strong. Cooldown reduction on kill, because every time you get a kill, which by the way, if you aren't already aware, it will reduce the cooldown of only this specific ghost weapon, not your Magma Bomb. That's why I have cooldown reduction on kill for the Magma Bomb as well, because they're 2 different ones, and you have to understand that this doesn't reduce the cooldown for both, only the specific one. Munitions, because obviously you want as much ammo as possible, and not only do you get bombs and black powder bombs from it, but so do your teammates, your Ronin and your hunters and your samurai. They all get bombs and arrows, which is so useful. Also, if you're using Heaven Sting, you do get darts from munitions as well. Munitions is an absolute must on a smoke bomb. If you don't use it, your team will have it on there. So guys, that is all my gear and a little bit of an in-depth explanation for all of it. Now let's go ahead and move on to the techniques. All right, guys, as for the techniques right here for my assassin, the very first thing I want to talk about is Deadly Nightshade. This is what we spoke about. Poison also damages enemies' health. This is the absolute center of your build, and if you do not have this, it will make everything that I just said completely pointless. So make sure you have this right here, and if you guys are new, be aware that these perks right here will take some doing in order to unlock them. These are end game builds that you see on my channel, okay? Okay, this is something to strive for. So understand that if you don't already have Deadly Nightshade, you should be looking for this ASAP. Now for my class ability, like I said, guys, the Toxic Vanish. And the reason that I have ability cooldown reduction on my melee weapon is because this is 62-second base cooldown for Toxic Vanish. Now, Group Vanish, Refreshing Vanish are two other things. However, if you see, their cooldown is 50 seconds. 50-second cooldown on those, and 62 is just actually very, very long. So I would suggest having ability cooldown reduction. Now, guys, Assassin Unleashed is another technique that I use because, as you can see, it decreases class ability cooldown by 15%, along with having that extra 11, almost 12% that is on my water katana. So I would suggest having those things just because that 62-second cooldown is very painful if you aren't getting kills and if you don't have these two things right here. Another viable option is critical hit, which inflicts 30% more damage in your assassinations. So, you could always use these. It is important to go through and see what you like the most, but this is just what I'm using, and I think it's very important because your build is going to be centered around Toxic, which, as you see right here, Toxic Vanish is exactly that. Now, you guys know I have Deadly Nightshade. Lastly, I am using Legendary because, as you guys saw in my build, I am using 2 legendaries, and you have options like we talked about for the legendaries that you can switch out. You can use Heavenly Sting, you can use your Spirit Kunai. So those are all very important things, guys. All right, guys, that is going to be the whole build. Let's talk a little bit on how to use it. And the important thing with this is, just massive damage. For the base build that I use with Forbidden Medicine, when you are starting off, the very first thing I would always suggest, guys, is know the wave rotation, which is in the Discord, which is linked down below. If you guys aren't already in it, I highly suggest getting in it because every week some incredible gamers, shout out to you guys, they always throw the weekly rotation down in the Discord for you guys to always have up when you're playing. So be sure that you have that. Now, guys, what you want to do is at the start of a wave, if you are timing it correctly and you're waiting for the enemies to spawn, you always want to throw 2 black powder bombs as soon as the wave starts, right? I always throw a smoke down if I don't have black powder bombs because I have munition, right? And it keeps the enemies kind of in place. You throw your smoke, you throw your 2 black powder bombs, and if you are so inclined, you can even pick up more black powder bombs after you throw it, so you can even possibly throw 3. You want to jump in the middle, hit your Toxic Vanish, and this will cause all the enemies to get poisoned in a very large radius thanks to your charm that has Toxic ability radius, and they will all start ticking down. You want to assassinate the weakest person, and then boom, your Toxic Vanish will go again, assassinate the next weakest person, and then once you assassinate the second person, you can pop your ult and take care of the big guys. If you have a Spirit Kunai, you can throw your Spirit Kunai and kill the weakest guys that are around and get a little bit of that ability cooldown reduction back. And by that time the enemies are going to be dead. So that is group combat, guys. When it comes to like single combat, if you're fighting an enemy, you can use those bombs to kind of keep the enemy at bay. Let's say you're fighting a big Oni Lord one-on-one and he is kind of super aggressive. If you throw a bomb at his foot, it will stagger him, right? You can use that stagger time to get some hits in, buy time for your Toxic Vanish to come back up, hit him with a sticky bomb, because when you throw that sticky bomb, you are going to be able to get some hits in before it explodes. And when it does explode, since it is the magma bomb, it will release that cloud of smoke, which allows you to get a critical strike in. And then after that, you can start going ham and, go from there. But those bombs are very important. So that's why I say having munitions is super good because it helps you in those sticky situations. So be sure that you are using that, guys. Use your Forbidden Medicine to heal your teammates if you're poisoned. If you're poisoned, use it on yourself. And don't be afraid to get aggressive with it, man. Like, this build will get you so much resolved. You can use your ultimate, pop Wave the Flame when you're using your ultimate, and all that good stuff, man. Listen, guys, this build's so fun, and I hope you guys enjoy it the way I do, because you're going to be doing some crazy damage, and you're gonna have a good time. So if you like this video, please be sure to leave a like down below and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. If not, it's all good, baby. We love you guys anyway. Let me know down below if you do end up using it, and or anything that I might have missed, or anything in here that you might have a question on. We'll catch you guys on the next video. Much love. Peace.